Hello good people. Tonight I am making 2 tuna burgers out of 1 can of tuna. So I'm just gonna show you kind of briefly how I do that. Right now I am cutting up some onions. So this is how I am going to make this this evening. So I have some onions, like I said, and I have some tuna here. This is 1 can. I have drained it. This was tuna in spring water. I'd rather do that than the oil, even though I am going to add some olive oil to this. So the onions go in. Let's put some garlic in this. Let's get it out of the shell. Just chop this up. Of course, you've seen me do this before. This is the meal I'm gonna have tonight. So, got some garlic. I'm going all out with this and the ingredients that I want. I'm also gonna add a little bit of cucumber. I need to cut this and wash it. I'm just gonna put a little bit because this is just gonna be 2 tuna burgers. Just kind of doing this very quickly. Everything that I'm chopping up will be chopped up in very sort of small, fine pieces so it'll hold together in the tuna mixture. Don't want really any big chunks. Want everything to be small so it blends in. Make sure to keep your hands and fingers out of the way. I'm doing this in real time so you can see how long it takes. So I'm not going to be doing a lot of editing on this, just at least for the mixing part. All right, we've got cucumber. Add a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Just going to sprinkle that in there, just a little bit. Something else that I want to add is a little bit of green pepper. So let me cut a piece of that. And I know I should bend my fingers under as I cut, but you know, I'm gonna try not to cut myself on camera. I'm kind of rushing with this too because I do want you to see that this doesn't take a lot of time. I have a bag of spinach and I'm just gonna chop this up. You know, spinach cooks down, so that may seem like a lot. Let me kind of clean up a little bit here as I go. I was listening to a podcast and I turned it off because I'm always listening to a podcast, so I didn't want to sort of you guys to have to listen to that today. But you know, I'm always listening to a podcast, so I'm just gonna cut this up into fine pieces. And it doesn't take very long for it to get, you know, small. You just kind of roll it up and start to chop. That goes. I have a lemon wedge that cut it. I'm just going to use a bit of lemon juice, sort of cut down on the sort of tuna-ness of it. So I'm just going to squirt that lemon in there. give it a little bit of lemon. Now I'm gonna season this. Let's move some of this out of the way that we don't need anymore. Seasonings, we got a little bit of kosher salt. I'm not gonna add a lot of salt to this. Let's do some Old Bay. Of course, we're gonna do some pepper, some suddenly salad. Let's try this carne asada. So let's just do this. All of this stuff is gonna add salt besides the pepper, so which is why I didn't want to use a lot of that salt. Let's do the Old Bay and suddenly salad, which gives it that cheesy taste. Now here comes the unconventional ingredients. You may be like, why is he putting that in there? Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise. It's gonna help to bind this, keep everything together. You know, just like a teaspoon or a tablespoon, about that much. That's all you need. 1 egg. And just gonna break that up in there. Just make sure not to get any shells in there. So 1 egg. I'm going to use just a few of these crackers. Don't get any more out of here. Okay, I think this is enough. And I'm just gonna crunch these up with my hands. I want these to be fine. My hands are clean, trust. I've got bleach water over here. So I got a little bit of that. Let's do a little bit of olive oil in there. Don't need a lot. I used to just use regular flour. Now I'm using this almond flour, and this is keto friendly. Just gonna sprinkle maybe about, this might be 3 teaspoons about. Let's mix everything together. And you're gonna see how that egg and that mayonnaise sort of bind everything. We've got our seasonings in there. So I'm just gonna keep mixing this up, and then I'm gonna make patties. So you see now it's almost the consistency of what, you know, a burger type mixture would be. Just make sure you mix it up really good. And then you're just gonna have to get in there with your hands, which let me go ahead and do, and make the patties. Here we go. With that, I'll just keep these in this pan, but you can see me making the patties. You see the consistency. I'm just gonna make them into balls right now. If I have any left, I'll add it to the smaller one. Okay, so of course when you're doing this like this, the cleanup, you see there's quite a mess. I just gotta put stuff away, but there are my 2, I think I said turkey, my 2 tuna balls that are ready. So now I'm just gonna get some hot grease ready and fry these up, and I'll show you that in a minute. Plus, we're gonna be using these ciabatta rolls. I think that's how you say that, ciabatta sandwich rolls. So just need to cut those, and then I like mayonnaise and maybe mustard, maybe ketchup, and I also have tomato here, tomato that I'm gonna add to the sandwich. But right now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna straighten up, clean up a little bit, and then I will show you once I'm ready to put these into the grease. I'm gonna go ahead and get my tomato ready. Just gonna cut a few slices. Then I'll just set this in the refrigerator. I've got my bread that I'm going to toast. This has been in the freezer, and it looks like it's already split. Now it has been in the freezer, so I'm just gonna do like a smell test. Yeah, it's still good. I'm just gonna coat these with a little bit of butter and gonna put those in the oven at about 400. You could also butter the outside of the bread if you want to, but I want to do it like this. I'm just taking a little bit of butter and adding it to the bottom because I'm gonna cook them with this side down like that. Also making some broccoli, but I need to cut these up. I've already cut off the ends, I've already washed them. So just gonna kind of cut these into smaller pieces. Gonna get the pan ready and let's start cooking. I'm gonna be cooking these everything in one pan. All right, we're at the stove. Just a little bit of olive oil, not a lot. Still got some things out, so I'm trying to clean as I go so I don't have, you know, such a mess. So just gonna let this pan heat up over high heat. I remember I got my buns in the oven, so I gotta make sure I watch those. One thing I sometimes do is I will salt my oil, and I'll just add a little bit more as that's cooking. Just salt and pepper for the broccoli. I'm just gonna let that heat up, and that will happen quicker if I put the top on. Bring the broccoli over. This broccoli is going to cook really fast, so we're not playing around today. This is fast cooking. My camera is still going. Okay, let's get this broccoli in here. Heat it up enough. Salt, pepper, and you know I gotta use the salad supreme. Just gonna move this around. We're gonna let this cook. It's probably gonna take about no more than 15 minutes, and we'll come back and check on that. And I'm gonna check on the buns in the oven. Okay, they're not sticking, so those can stay in a little bit longer. We're doing some real-time marathon cooking for you here. Let's check on these. Want to get these moved around. And one thing, because this heat is on high, what we're gonna add just a little bit of water from the refrigerator just to produce some steam. And that's going to give some steam to the pot and is going to actually help for the broccoli to cook a little bit faster. And while we're waiting on that, we can clear up some of these things we don't need. All right, let's give these a check. The water is helping these to steam. You can see as the broccoli starts to cook, it turns this brighter green, which is really cool. And we are keeping this on a high heat so these can get done. Give you one more look at that. These are going to be kind of, you know, very crunchy. I like them like that, so they'll be just a little bit tender. And then we're going to use the same pot for the burgers. Let me get those ready. The bread I'm gonna take out. We're also gonna add some cheese. I'm gonna get the tomatoes out, the mayonnaise. Let's do mustard and ketchup on one of those. So we got all our fixings ready right here. What we're going to add is trying to keep this counter clean. Got my burgers right here ready to go. I should actually sit these in the refrigerator, but we're doing this quick today, so these are going to be cooking in just a second. All right, let's get the broccoli out, and we're going to cover that, and then we're going to go right into making the tuna burgers. Cover that. Gonna add a little bit of butter to the oil that's already in here. Get some more olive oil, just a little bit. Don't need a lot. Gonna let that heat up again. Then the burgers are gonna be ready to go in. We don't need this anymore. One thing that we do need to do is take out the bread. So let's get the bread out. And you see, we didn't burn it. Nice and crispy, which will go really, really nice with the very soft tuna. So we got the bread ready. The pan on top of the stove is hot enough now, so let's add our tuna. Here's our tuna, remember, these are going to be moist, so there we go. They may break up a little bit, but that's okay. Once they start to cook, they should hold together. That's really what I needed those breadcrumbs for. Now I am going to turn the fire down just a little bit because it doesn't need to be, going to let the oil get in there. And I'm also going to cover these just for a little bit. Now while that is cooking, we're going to go ahead and address our bread. Okay, here we go. Let's see. You see how these look on the back where I put the butter. So these are the bottom. Let's get some mayonnaise on there, which is what I like. Of course, use whatever condiments you like. I'm just going to put a little bit on each. That's enough. Remember, we already used some of that. Some tomato to these. That's also going to help to soften up the bread. The burgers just right on top of the cheese. Now you could also do this in the pan if you wanted to, but I want to do it this way so cheese will melt. And then on one of these, I want to add a little bit of mustard on one of these. Okay. And I think I want ketchup on both. Okay. So now, all we have left to do is to finish off the tuna burgers. All right, let's check on the tuna burgers. Let's turn the oven off. All right. You can see how they're cooking. Get those turned. That wasn't perfect, but you get the idea. Okay, so got both of those flipped, and I'm gonna keep the top off of there. You know how sometimes they will baste the steak in the grease and just kind of pour it over the top. But for these, I'm just going to let these cook. Just let everything cook and harden. I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit because I do want it to get a little bit more to hold together. So the heat is as high as it will go. All right, let's give these one more flip if we can. It might be a little hard, it's tearing up, but I feel like we want to flip these one more time. We got that one. These are very delicate, so yeah, that one tore up, but it's okay. We still got one intact, sorta. But these are really done at this point. I still got that on high heat. So the only thing is to just let that just cook a little bit more. And we're just gonna remove these and make our sandwich. Just bring our sandwich over here. Getting a little bit closer to everything. And you have our broccoli. And we have our tuna burgers, which are done. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the heat. And then we're just gonna transfer this as best we can with it tearing up. Because we want it to be on the cheese so it will melt. Ooh, those are really hot. So even though it's breaking up, that's okay. At least for that one. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of leave that one. This is very hot. Well, probably just burnt my finger, but that's okay. This I'll just leave in the pan, come back and eat that later. So here we go. Move this knife. We've got our sandwiches here, our tuna burgers. Let's go ahead and pop on the top. Now this looks like a lot to eat, but it's tuna, so it's healthy. And we got my broccoli, which I'm gonna just add some of these to my plate. And I think that's all I want. I'll save the rest for tomorrow. But there you have it. I do believe that was like dinner in 30 minutes or less. Here it is. And I'm about to eat this while it's hot. I'm not gonna wait. So thank you for joining me for this video. And yeah, there's more things in this video that will be coming up too.